G'day guys, how's it going? It's Bloodteeth here, bringing you another video of Gemcraft Frostborn Wrath. And in today's video, I'd like to show you and also give you a little bit more advice on how to actually play this game from the beginning. Because I was getting a lot of questions about what would what should people do around wizard level, 80, 100, 150, 200. And to be honest, I couldn't really give a lot of good advice because they were asking me while my wizard level was, over 10,000. And let's be honest, you play the game very differently at that sort of wizard level than you do at, 100. Basically, it's a very different challenge, very different style of play is employed and all of that. So I thought I'd just go through again because I was interested to see whether or not after playing through the game and learning just about every single, I suppose, little, skill, strategy and whatnot that, is applicable to this game. After going through that journey, I thought, okay, can I go through that journey again? And with what I have learned, can I actually make this a lot easier? One of the biggest complaints about this game, especially when it came out at the very beginning, was that the difficulty of this game was a massive step up from the previous games. In terms of having a lot of wizard stashes were on trial mode for a lot of fields, which made them quite unattainable, or not unattainable, but very difficult to get, because let's be honest, those trial modes are not easy. There are lots of YouTube videos out there showing exactly how to do just about every single one of them, which is fantastic. But if you don't want to do that and you want to try your hand and have a crack and try and learn about them, think about how to beat those trial modes, it's not easy. It is genuinely difficult. And I believe in less than 2 weeks after release, this game was modified by the game author to actually put all of the wizard stashes outside of the trial modes, and instead you would find them littered around in either journey mode or endurance mode for every single field instead, and the trial mode would just be like an extra thing. They did that in response to the high difficulty of this game. Now, can this game be realistically played without converting it to chilling? By the way, I only noticed this today. This is basically something where you can convert one of your saved games to chilling mode, which basically makes it a lot easier. It gives you twice the shadow cores, almost twice the XP. You start with the free spell straight away. Let's see. The damage of the lowest grade gem is slightly higher, which filters through as you go up the grades. You get 3 free buildings every battle, which is great for your starting mana. More initial starting mana, all of these things. So basically, it's a lot easier, all things considered, which is fine and well and dandy. But I thought, no, I'm not going to try this chilling mode. I'm going to try this game again, and I'm going to see if I can put what I've learned to the test. So I did that, and so far I'm at wizard level 144. This is what my talisman looks like. As you can see, I took advantage of the talisman bonuses as much as I could, as early as possible, or almost as early as possible. Not quite. I actually found that going for the talisman bonuses was sometimes actually not worth it over just going for putting in fragments that you had that had +2 initial mana. I found that +2 initial mana, and also, where is it? Here we go. Plus percentage of mana for starting waves early. Those two really helped a lot. Plus also, plus mana at the start of each wave is almost as important as the plus initial mana bonus for the entire talisman. So, what did I learn? I learnt that from the get-go, the game's a little bit of a grind, but it's not that much of a grind. Let's be honest. You can play the game for at least 20 or 25 fields or so without backtracking. You can backtrack if you want, and that's the nice part that I found about this game. You can backtrack and you can go ahead and play, you can do endurance mode on field W1 for another way of just getting more XP. You can do that sort of thing. You can also go ahead and play fields with shrines like V2 and U3, and what you can do is you can just try and basically litter as many gems as you can on the field, send all of the waves really quickly, focus on upgrading one gem as much as you can, and then when the shrines are ready to go, you just hit the shrines and take out as many monsters as you can in endurance mode, and then once you've wasted all of the shrine hits, you may as well just exit the game. I did that, and I have to admit I got some pretty sweet endurance XP, especially on field U3, because of the way it the shrine kill zones line up so nicely with the paths. You can really hammer down a lot of your monsters with this particular shrine. One thing to consider though is that if you don't have the bleeding gem, and I still don't have the bleeding gem by the way, it's going to be a little while until I can get that, because I can't crack open the damn wizard stash on field E4. I come close, but it's always just a little bit out of my reach, even with my skills modified for a lot of armor tearing and a lot of damage and so forth. It's just still unattainable. So I'll be getting, hopefully I will be getting that red gem soon, so that I can do some insane amounts of damage and get insane amounts of XP on these shrine levels. But until then, I just have to make do with what I've got. Let's see. I really should actually get off my ass and do the same thing again for field N3. I feel like I can get more endurance XP from this particular level, quite a lot more actually. I also feel like I should try and do that on fields J2 and J4. Let's see. Also, there was a... Yeah, here we go. There's a shrine on R4. It's not so nicely lined up in terms of kill zones for your monsters, but still, hey, it's another one with shrine. And of course, there's H3, H2. Yep, you can get some decent XP off H2 as well. And this is reasonably early on as well. You can abuse these fields with shrines to get stupid amounts of XP in your endurance runs. I encourage you to do that as soon as you can, because you'll find all of a sudden your wizard levels will jump 10, 15, 20 at a time. And then once you've gone through and played a little bit more of the game, you can come back and revisit them and do it again. And of course, once you finally break open the wizard stash on E4 to get the field and also the map tile for I, once you play through I until you get to I4 and break open the wizard stash there, that's when you get the bleeding gem, and that's when you can start going absolutely nuts with these shrines and get some serious XP. Probably not to beat the endurance, but at least to start defeating some of the monsters that are more towards the later waves. At the moment, my my endurance is capped at how many waves? 80 waves at the moment. So I've beaten it a few times, not too many times, but just enough so that I've got more waves of stronger monsters than I need, or that I can beat. Let's see, what other advice can I give when starting? Just keep on playing through. Keep on trying to basically snipe out those wizard stashes. If they're endurance, I find it's easier, because all you have to do is focus on surviving long enough to break open the wizard stash, and then you can just go ahead and end the endurance. Quick and simple. That's what I mean by sniping them. Don't stick around and try and get high scores, because to be honest, unless you're abusing the fields with all of those shrines, it's not really going to be worth your time and effort. But it is definitely worth your time and effort to go ahead and hunt down all of the wizard stashes, play through all of the fields as much as you can. Let's see. The second time around, focus on your bonuses on your talisman, but for the most part, your talisman fragments, the most important thing to go for is literally just, let's see, initial mana of course, is a big must, followed closely by mana for starting waves early for when you start abusing those shrines. Let's see. Percentage of wizard level goes to initial XP and mana is probably the third most important. And after that, unless you get plus something to some skill levels for anything, all of the other stuff, everything else, is not really that important, if I'm going to be blunt. So don't really worry about any of the other stuff. 8% faster orbit rollback. I don't know why I would care about that. That doesn't do anything for me, and it won't do anything for you either. Extra percentage to maximum something charge is nice. Shrine charge is nice, but it's not so useful for me that I found at the moment at wizard level 140 or even wizard level 80. It doesn't really do much, because honestly, when doing endurance on these fields, once you use all of those shrine charges, you're not going to be sticking around and waiting for that next shrine charge. You're just going to exit. So it's not really that useful. Let's see. Other than that, let's see. I can't really see anything else here that's useful. So yeah, it's all about mana. It's all about basically getting your starting mana high as they can be. Keep on unlocking all of these fragment slots or locked talisman tiles. Unlock them as much as you can. Focus on getting all of your stuff filled with something. Get rid of just about every single fragment that doesn't have plus something to initial mana, at the very least. If it doesn't have that, get rid of it. And also, don't bother trying to line up fragments with the same markings in your talisman until after you started to get fragments consistently sort of, in excess, with rarity of in excess of about 20. Trying to do it with the, anything with a rarity lower than that, the bonus is so small that it's not worth it unless somehow you fluked it and got some fragments that do line up 3 in a row or more with the same markings, and they all have plus something to initial mana. At the moment, not everything of mine has plus to initial mana, but that's because the rarities are nice enough so that, mine not having that plus to mana from this fragment, for example, is worth it, because this fragment unlocks both. It helps to unlock the bonus for the column as well as the row, and that combined effort is more than worth it, instead of going ahead and replacing it for, say, something like this that gives plus to initial mana, because then I would lose the bonus to the initial mana, and that's not actually worth it. So yeah, something to consider. But basically, there's no finesse to playing this game early. Yeah, you can unlock some skills. You can get some stuff for your you've got your construction skills, you've got your focus skills, you've got your wrath skills, components, you've got your enhancements and strike spells. But seriously, unless you're going ahead and putting in skill points to beat a specific field, like I tried for getting that wizard stash on E4, I'm cranked up the armor tearing, I've cranked up true colors, resonance, mana stream. I've done whatever I can to try and last as long as I can and tear off as much armor as I can from that wizard stash to try and destroy it. That I will do. There's also another field, strange field. If you've played this game, you will all know this. It's P5. Field P5 is a pain of a level when you play it at first. Basically what you have to do is you have to crank up traps, crank up poison, and also put a little in the mana leech if you have it, and also crank up resonance and true colors, and just go for it. Put all of your stuff in traps, because there's nowhere to build towers, nowhere to build amplifiers or pylons. It's all about traps. So yes, then you would go ahead and tailor your skills to try and beat that specific level. But for the most part, levels all of these fields that I find, there's nothing really overly special about them. Try and just get armor tearing in the field if you can. If it's available, basically focus on gems with armor tearing, armor tearing, critical hit, or bleeding. Forget mana leech, forget poison for the most part, and forget slow, because honestly, those effects are way too low to be felt. And you know what? Even critical hit, I found, as a person playing with a lower wizard level, much lower wizard level from the start onwards, critical hit, the percentage of it actually happening, the chance, is so low. And even if you do get that critical hit, the bonus is so small, it's pathetic. Don't bother with it. Just use it if you don't have both armor tearing and bleeding, for example. I just lucked on field U4 right there and then. That's perfect. Ignore the gems that are a little bit smaller, the orange and the green ones, because those are gems that I've unlocked and I can use on every field, so long as it's not the first time I play journey mode on them or trial. But this particular one started with critical hit, bleeding, and armor tearing. I just used armor tearing and bleeding because those happen with every single shot, guaranteed, all the time, and they have the most effect on basically battering down monsters, because that's more or less what you're doing. There is no finesse to this until you get to wizard level, 5, 6, 700, and you can start to do fancy things like effective mana farms that are actually going to give back more than they take within the time limit of you playing a field. No finesse at all. Seriously, it's all about just starting with as much mana as you can, getting as much mana as you can get between waves, when you send waves or when they come in, and just basically beating down the monsters. Tear off their armor a little bit if you can, but if not, it's just raw power. There's nothing to it. And I think that was actually a good design choice with the way this game was made by the game author. Props to them, because honestly, it really is quite simple to start playing this game. It requires very little in terms of outside the box or abstract thinking to progress further and basically continue the onslaught of going through fields and beating fields and opening wizard stashes. You will come up with a couple of roadblocks, but the way this game is also set out is that, okay, if I can't go ahead and beat this damn wizard stash, for example, to unlock map tile I and make my way over to I4 and break open the wizard stash there and get bleeding gem, then that's fine. I can just leave it for the moment. I can reset my skills back to something that's a little bit more reasonable. I'll leave those, actually. That's nice. And I also use pylons as well. I'm going to talk about that in a minute. Basically, reset your skills to something that's a little bit more generic and just pound your way through more levels. Just keep on unlocking fields, keep on breaking open wizard stashes. Wizard stashes are not that difficult to break open for the most part. Honestly, you've got wizard stashes with shield. Just make sure you go to the field. I think it's I forget which field, but there's a field way up here that will unlock the beam skill. Once you get beam, wizard stashes, that's not a problem. Seriously. If your wizard stash has, say for example, shields, that's okay. If you've got beam, then beam, a gem with beam on will crank through. I think beam comes with 3 seconds of beam as standard. With the skills up an extra 5, which is what I have them on, you get an extra half second. So at 3.5 seconds of beam duration, I find that I can shred about something like 250 or 300 odd bloody shields just by putting beam on a grade 1 gem that's right next to the wizard stash, that's focusing on the wizard stash, with priority set to structures. That's all you have to do. You can use beam to shred through shields. You can use an armor tearing gem with beam on it to shred through the armor as well on wizard stashes. And you know, if that's not your style or you don't have beam, then you can just go for the very simple solution, which is to just get a whole bunch of grade 1 or grade 2 gems in towers all around your wizard stash, have them all set priority to structure, and let them slowly beat down the shields, the armor, and eventually the hit points of the wizard stash. It looks like slow going at first, but trust me, once you get rid of the shields, the armor, once that starts to shred away as well, you'll find the hit points start to drop a lot faster. They drop quite dramatically. So if you come up with a wizard stash that's has like 100,000, 10,000 shields, 10,000 armor, 10,000 hit points, don't be dismayed. That's not going to take ages. You can have 2 grade 1 armor tearing gems on it, just separately away from your normal, kill zone with, say, your gems in towers and your pylons and so forth. They can be somewhere else on the map that's, much more ideal for beating down the monsters. You can have your 2 armor tearing gems around the wizard stash separate, and you can just keep on applying beam to those 2 grade 1 gems, and they will slowly chip away. You just have to remember to keep on saving your beam spell and keep on applying your beam spell to those 2 gems, and they will slowly but surely chip away at all of the shields, all the armor, and eventually weaken it to the point where you can, get a couple of grade 5 or grade 6 gems here and just smack away the hit points really quickly, and boom, there you go. You've got an open wizard stash. It's not hard. In fact, you know what? Let's show. I have no idea what this wizard stash will come with, but let's give this a try. Actually, I think on glance, I don't think this field gives me armor tearing. So this should be interesting. But yeah, it's a very simple concept. What have we got? Okay, so we've got critical hit, bleeding, and slow. I'm going to be using critical hit and bleeding. I've got 4,000 shields. No worries. That's easy enough. I'll just go ahead and plop a couple down here. And you know what? I'll put critical hit because I don't think bleeding is an effect that is applied to attacking buildings, but critical hit is. So, and I think when you use beam on a critical hit, the critical hit still applies to the beam, and because a beam is basically lots and lots and lots of pulses of a shot, essentially. So I don't know how many, 30, 50, 60 or something a second. Basically, you will get that critical hit bonus every now and then. So it's useless against shields because shields is just one shot to one shield. But when it comes to the hit points, applying beam to the hit points will make a big increase. Anyway, that's enough talk. Let's go ahead and close off of this. Oh, I tell you what, this level's a bugger. Okay, so that's how it wants to play. Sure, no problems. Let's put 4 down here, a couple of pylons. Now, I said I was going to actually talk about pylons. I'm going to do that right now. Pylons are your best friend. Honestly, when you're playing a very non-finesse style play of Gemcraft, pylons are great because what you can do is you can keep them. There's a couple of different strategies you can use with pylons. You can just sort of have them nilly-willy, and when your gems in your towers are not shooting at monsters, they'll just be charging up the pylons, which is kind of like a free sort of extra shot for when you need it. You can have the pylons up at the front line, basically attacking first, or you can have them mixed in with your towers so they help out every now and then, or you can have all of your pylons right here at the back, well behind your gems, so that the gems in towers attack all of the monsters and take out most of those monsters. But when they're overwhelmed, the idea is if there's any that leak through every now and then, monsters mostly probably like swarmlings or something like that, the pylons are kind of like a backup last defense that will have a few shots to take out whatever's coming in, and hopefully it will be enough to ward off any waves of monsters that actually make it through. So yeah, there's a few strategies you can play with your pylons, but long story short, pylons are great because at the end of the day, all you need to do is beat monsters and also start with mana. Your talisman and all of the fragments inside it, they are going to help you with your mana, starting with mana, mana between waves, all of that stuff. Pylons are just going to help you just brute force beat down everything. And the great thing about pylons is that they have a chain hit of about, I think, 3 or 4 bounces or something. And they store 3 charges. Yeah, they bounce to an additional 3 monsters. So they hit 4 monsters all up. You see, this is a perfect example of when you would charge up a lot of pylons. Basically, you know, a couple of waves of giants will come through. That means they'll be coming slowly. That means there'll be a gap, a bit of a lull in the action. And you can just upgrade your stuff. Oh, meanwhile, I should be applying beam to this. See how quickly that shred down the shields? Here, let me show you again. There you go. Couple of 100 shields. Gone. Just because I applied beam to a grade 1 gem. This is basically it. This is what Gemcraft, playing Gemcraft is like. Keep your talisman nice and healthy. Focus on basically getting all of the fragments inside that have plus something to initial mana, plus anything else to mana is just a nice little added bonus, but that's the main one. When you start getting fragments of rarity 20, 25 and above, then start focusing on also trying to get those same sorts of fragments but with markings lined up in your talisman. Keep unlocking those talisman slots and just trudge your way through the levels, constantly just brute forcing your way through. See, look at that. No worries. Not a problem. Now, was all of this information after I played the game and effectively, dominated it? Was all of this information helpful to me in trying to make my journey much easier second time round with this save? The answer is a resounding yes. Honestly, the only advice I can really give you or the advice that I could give myself, I should say, should have given myself earlier on, was to focus more on what's going on with that talisman. Basically, the fragments, that's very important. I did not pay as much attention to the talisman as I should have when I first played through, and to be honest, that actually affected me quite a lot. When I was playing this field the first time round, I guarantee you I was probably starting with 2,000 or 3,000 mana at the start. Now I start with more than double that, and believe me, that makes a massive difference. There we go. No more shields. So now we just have to batter this thing down. I'm just using all of my enhancement skills whenever I can. Barrage doesn't do much, but it's better than nothing. And you see, even beam helps with shredding down hit points. Not as much. Hey, and I got a fragment. Okay, I wonder what that is. Let's see. Now I can go back here and focus on what's going on in this part of the world. So that's how you crack open a wizard stash. If you don't have beam as a spell available, like I said, just surround it with lots and lots of gems in towers. Grade 1 gems will do. because honestly it's just strength in numbers. Let's see. Armor tearing if you have it for wizard stashes with armor as well. Armor and beam really are your ticket to cracking open just about any wizard stash, no matter what, except for the wizard stash that's on E4. Oh my goodness, that thing has armor and hit points, both of which are 1,111,111. It's just too much. The monsters overwhelm me. Oh, I could just taste it every time I try that wizard stash. I'm just so close yet so far away. It's teasing me. I reckon if I could just play for another literally 30 seconds, I could beat it. That's how close I've been. Let's see. What happened to the screen? Oh, is this one of those fields with some sort of effect? I honestly don't remember. What is this field? Oh, okay. Yeah, this is a field with something to do with the story mode. Yeah, we've got a whole bunch of shadows going towards the Spirit Forge or some rubbish like that. D2, okay. Oh, hot tip, guys. Map tile D. Map tile D is the map tile that holds both ritual trait and what is it? Focus skill or whatever the hell that skill is called. Basically, that's the trait that allows you to have extra monsters on the field, basically for shadow core hunting, and also the skill that cranks up the amount of shadow cores you get from monsters. So yeah, field D is that's the place to go for doing anything in terms of, you know, getting the stuff you need to start doing shadow core farming, which is something I should actually get to doing. It's a bit of a grind, but hey. Oh, hello. Oh, it sucks that I don't have anywhere to put this right now, but plus 2 initial mana and plus 2 all skill levels. That's very lucky. Yeah, story, whatever. So yeah, that's what I've learnt so far. Let's see. Oh yeah, keep on adding to your shape collection. It hurts at first, but any that you don't use, try and add them to your shape collection. My shape collection is actually shaping up quite nice. And you know what's really annoying? On my first saved game, I've got the one shape, one edge fragment. It's the third one down on the left of the edge fragments, the one with 3 holes and a flat piece on the right. I don't have that in my other save game. That's the only one I'm missing, and I've been missing it forever. And I've got it here. You have no idea how much that annoys me. But anyway, that's where the cookie crumbles. I can't afford to... Ooh, geez, 4,800. Hey, I can actually ditch this. How much will it cost for me to ditch this? Oh, this is going to hurt. Yes, I can do it. Okay. Plus 169 initial mana. There's no plus to mana here on this edge fragment, but plus 169 to plus 151, and I can add to the initial mana by upgrading this. That's worth it. Yeesh. Alright, we'll ditch that. Yeah, that's worth it. Speaking of which, I need to go do shadow core hunting. But yeah, basically that's where I'm at, guys. And that's what I've learnt. No finesse whatsoever. Just keep on smacking your way through all of these fields. Keep on adding those fragments to the talisman. The talisman is key. Seriously, it is key to you defending Gemcraft Frostborn Wrath in a way that is not grindy and not so difficult. This thing unlocks just about everything that you need to continue progressing. If you don't pay attention to your talisman and your fragments within it, and try and keep on getting initial to mana, or other stuff that's going to help you out with your mana, then you're going to struggle. It's going to be a grind. It's going to be difficult. So it's all about the talisman. That's all I can say. It's all about the talisman, and don't bother blowing all of your skill points on all of your skills, seriously, unless you really need to do it just to focus down a particular level. And to be honest, even this is excessive. Get more to your initial mana, because then you can get more bonus out of it from your talisman through your talisman bonuses, because your fragments have nice markings and they're all nicely lined up. That's basically the advice that I give. And yeah, just keep on trudging. If you hit a wall, just find another direction and keep on progressing. I've hit a wall here, so I can go down B, or I can finally go back up here and clean up M4 and N5. I think M4 traditionally has a wizard stash that's in a pain in the butt spot, but also holds something nice. Actually, I'm going to finish off D so I can do some shadow core hunting, and then I'm going to do some shadow core hunting on, I think it was one of you told me to do it on Field S1. That's right. I'll do that on Field S1 and try to continue to beat all of those monsters as best as I can, and get more cores so I can add more to the talisman, unlock more talisman tiles, just more talisman. It's all about the talisman, seriously. Don't ignore your talisman. That's the one thing you should take away from this video. That's it from me, guys. I'm just going to continue to play this at wizard level 145, and hopefully I will beat this game a lot quicker than when I tried to play it and beat it last time. Oh, also one other thing. A nice easy little thing to do to help you out, if you're lucky enough, is to continue also unlocking achievements. I have exactly half the achievements. I swear I didn't plan that. 318, 318. That's insane. Anyway, all of the achievements that you get, some of them will have stuff like this, where you've got a combination of different, silhouettes for different gem grades. We've got grade 6, 5, 3, 10, and 1 there, for example. I haven't done a video yet on the mods, but basically mods are activated down here by entering, shall we say, combinations of all of those silhouettes with overlapping orders, 3 in a row, by clicking these in the same order as left to right for those combinations. I'll do a video about it one day, hopefully, but if not, there's plenty of literature out there. Just Google Gemcraft Frostborn Wrath mods and mod unlocking. I believe there's a hint to how that works here on the main screen. Where would it be? You know what? I genuinely cannot remember. Oh, there was something with like a little pictorial. Anyway, I'll talk about it in another video. Focus on your mods as well, because there are a couple of mods that basically allow you to get more shadow cores from fields in general, and also more mana drops or something like that. Basically, let's see. Actually, let's just very quickly go over it. I've got a few that are activated. I've got Wealthy Monsters, which is exactly what you think it is. Omni Beacons, just because I wanted to beat some achievements with them. Plus, also beacons are not a problem for me, so I just leave it active because why not? Omni Beacons is basically a beacon that has the effect of 4 or 5 or 6 beacons all in one. Sounds scary, and you know what? On a low wizard level, it is scary. But honestly, at my wizard level, it's not a problem. I don't care. Doesn't bother me at all. Let's see, Green Blood, just because why not? There's other mods that are very small. You can horizontally flip fields. It's exactly what it sounds like. You can vertically flip fields. You can do monster egg hunts, which I should do because I do have some achievements for that. Basically, places random monster eggs all around a field every time you play. I haven't unlocked that. Wasp-filled shells. Basically, every time you do barrage, there's a small chance that a barrage shell, once it actually lands, spawns a gem wasp. It's not great, but hey, it helps a little. Haven't got these two. And deep learning. Deep learning is really important. I forget why, but it's really good for something. It's great. Anyway, the two main ones are deep learning and wealthy monsters. Basically means more shadow cores and easier to upgrade your wizard level, maybe? Or is it... No, that's right. It actually it does something to do with the mana pool. It lowers the amount that a mana pool is... it lowers the amount of mana that is required to upgrade a mana pool every time at the base, so it has a flow-through effect up all of the levels of the mana pool, or something along those lines. Anyway, go ahead and Google it. I'm out. Catch you later, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know what you think. Like, comment, subscribe, and also let me know if you want me to do anything else in these videos. I am always happy to try and help, or I'm always happy to put up other videos. I noticed I've got no views basically on my StarCraft 2 videos, which kind of sucks, but hey, that's alright. If it's not your thing, it's not your thing. Anyways, catch you later, guys.